Yo, what's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Prison Break Raw. I'm your host, one and only Big JD. Go ahead, get this channel, subscribe, share, leave some messages and comments, hit the thumbs up for the like, notification bell to be informed on all episodes when they drop. I'm a big enough man to admit when I am wrong, and I'm also humble and objective to know how to spot where I'm wrong at and what steps I need to take in order to correct the things that I feel are failing and lagging in certain areas. How can I improve myself is the goal of my life. How I could become better for my fellow man and woman, for myself, for my family. And that's what I do. So this channel right here, I've had this account for a little while, but this channel originally was launched back in January 2019 as Prison Break. It was a series to break down my book, An Imprisoned Mind, A Guide to Escaping Our Self-Made Prison. You can find it on Amazon, Amazon Prime, Kindle Unlimited. The link will be in this video like it is in every other video. Check it out if you haven't already checked it out. That book was a self-help book that I had wrote. Started out as a journal when I was in the feds, step-by-step, play-by-play, everything that I had done in order to break free from the self-made prison that I had put myself in, this incarcerated state of mind, the recidivism trap that had locked me into the prison system for over 30 years. Starting with an experience that happened to me when I was 14, 1988. I explained it in the last video. I listen to all the feedback that you give me. I'm a big enough man and I am well grounded and humble and secure in myself enough to listen and to take it in, to be receptive. I understand that I didn't break down for you in minute detail everything that happened. But then again, what I didn't want to throw out there because I didn't want to confuse what the video was all about, basically opening up myself to you and sharing with you what my experience was, what made me who I was. But I am also in the process of publishing a book detailing that very experience. That book has well over 600 pages. I wrote it, spent 6 years, almost 7 years putting it together. So, in order to basically just open up to you, and it was very hard to do. And I don't know why it was so hard to do on this channel. But it was honestly, it was more difficult to talk to you about that here than it was at any other time. I've been on other podcasts. I spoke in front of a room of 200 people in the chapel, in a prison, and told that same story in the exact same way. I had learned how to give it to you by basically making the point of what really happened without confusing you, but not going on and on and on in such great detail because it was just so painful to experience. That's why I wrote the book, so that I could basically present the book to whoever wanted to read it, and I wouldn't have to relive detail by detail every painful moment of that over and over and over and over again, because I'm only human. But that shit really happened, man. Detail by detail, everything that happened. I'm having trouble finding a publisher and a literary agent for that book. Because, let's face it, in a lot of cases, in a lot of these literary agents, maybe I don't fit their optical illusion criteria that they're looking for. Other literary agents thought that it was too much for them. Whatever the case may be, If you know, or if you are a literary agent or in the publishing business whatsoever, please feel free to reach out to me. Get this book out there and we can really change some lives with it. For all the millions of people that don't watch YouTube can benefit from that. And many of you out there that have some unanswered questions about how everything went down in the experience, you could read the book without forcing me to relive every painful moment again by telling you in minute detail everything that happened in that experience. I mean, if you doubt it, you doubt it. That's fine. Many people that have been survivors of abuse have been doubted. Many people. But to actually have the courage to tell you that speaks volumes. It was very hard for me to do, and it's very hard for me to break down details like that. So I wrote about it because it's easier that way. I'll just leave that at that. But I've learned a lot of things on this YouTube here. You know, like I said, I started this channel out to break down my second book that I wrote. A lot of you probably don't know that I started a nonprofit organization called Stand for Something Life Incorporated. Started it all by myself, filed all the legal forms with the Secretary of State and the federal government, got it established, got my EIN number and all that, went out to try to find interns at these colleges to help me. I couldn't get no help. Knocked at every single door of everyone in the criminal justice reform world. They all refused me a seat at the table for obvious reasons. And somebody even confirmed these reasons to me. I don't fit their racial optics. So that's fine. That's okay. I went on my own direction. I took a look at everything that was going on, and when I had finally submitted the paperwork to dissolve my nonprofit organization, which was a very hard thing for me to do because I put in a lot of work to it, but I couldn't get any help from anybody. Nobody wanted to help. So I decided to rebrand this channel and call it Prison Break Raw. I wanted to give to you the experience that I was given as far as change. The way that the two programs that I took in the federal prison that I was at in order to help me change was a no-holds-barred, all-up-in-your-face, non-sugarcoating approach. I can't tell you how many times I got slapped with that noodle of reality. Time and time and time again, people calling me out on my stuff, on my bullshit, on my views, on the way that I was aggressive, entitled, power orientating over power thrusting on people, and just trying to basically push my way through the world without ever having to earn anything. I learned how to overcome all of that, and I also learned how to see the world through a different lens. It's not so much of focusing on the negative, it's more of focusing on the reality of life. And when you're able to confront the reality of life, you're able to correct things that are broken, fix things that are broken. My mother passed away 6 months before I got out of prison. My mother was a very positive, sugar and spice, everything's nice, crimsons and clovers and flowers blooming type of a person. Love her to death. But she lived in a fantasy land in a lot of ways. She believed that a good, strong, positive mind and just ignoring the cancer that was ravaging her body would save her. The power of the mind type of stuff. It's a perfect example of when you constantly ignore the things that are wrong around you, they just get worse, and more people get affected by them. She was no different. It got to the point to where the cancer was eating almost every part of her body, all the way up into her brain. It's a horrible thing for me to listen to every time I was on that phone, and I had to listen to her slowly die, little by little, month after month, on that phone. I couldn't do shit. I couldn't hold her hand. I didn't even get a chance to say goodbye to her when she was going. I got to talk to her one time, and she was completely out of it. That's what really changed me, and that's what sent me on the direction that I went on. Because I'm receptive to see where I'm wrong at, and when I'm wrong. Now, I'm not an expert in any of this stuff, and I don't have a team of advisors around me that have me on a short leash like maybe some of these other bigger platforms have. There's been a lot of excitement and a lot of drama on YouTube lately with various different channels. Some of you think that it's entertaining, others don't like it at all. Many of you wish that it would just all come to an end. And the one thing that I've heard before is some people say, well, a lot of these other big platforms don't engage in all this, don't do this, don't do that. Well, the difference between a lot of these other channels and the bigger platforms that you speak about is the bigger platforms have a team of professionals surrounding them, keeping them on a short leash. Believe that. And they've had it since the rip. Some of these people that have these big channels have had a wide reach into the elite power structure of celebrities, Hollywood, what this, what not. Some of these people also have family and friends that have deep pockets. When you have all those benefits in your corner, it's much easier for you to avoid all the fray of what's going on with the drama. Because you have people that protect you. You have gatekeepers, guardians all around you to keep you from that. Channels like myself and many others are a one-man band, a one-man show. And the way that we learn how to do this is through trial and error. The advantage that I see that I have that I don't think a lot of these other smaller channels like myself maybe don't have is you have a whole audience of people that watch you that comment every single day. So you, as my subscriber or non-subscriber that watch my videos, you give me the feedback and I correct it. Notice how there's a microphone sitting right in front of me now? There was never any problem with my sound equipment other than the fact of its location. I didn't want to have a big giant microphone all up in my face, so I put it down here so that I can kick back, relax like this, and talk to you. Now you can't really hear me. And I get that. So I've corrected it. Put this right here. The background that you see. Went out and got a Prison Break Raw poster. A brand to put on the channel. Advice from others like yourself. I like to think that we can talk about anything and everything on this channel, even current events that is going on. I listen to everyone. I get countless messages in my DM and in my messenger asking me about this, that, and the other. And what I want to do is basically admit that some of the approaches that I've taken on certain matters probably weren't the best way to do it. And I think you know what I'm talking about in some of these ways. Sometimes I actually believe, and I know this to probably have some truth to it, but I feel responsible for some of this drama that is going on these channels. Because when I came out and I'm just like, I'm going to roast people, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, some of the people that tune in was like, you know what? This dude's getting views for doing that kind of shit. Maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe I need to go out and roast people. Maybe I need to talk shit about people. But goddamn, man, that was never my intention to begin with. I've roasted a couple of people on here, right? One person came at me sideways and another person, really doesn't matter. What matters is I did it and I was done with it. And it was nothing personal. It was just kind of like, here's where you're wrong at type of a thing. Because I give a shit. I'm older than most of these other people that are on these channels. In a lot of ways, I feel like I try to give you some knowledge. The way the homies have given it to me and the way that it was given it to me by others that wanted to see me grow and become a more successful person in whatever it was that I was doing, good or bad. And I got to tell you that it was always a tough love, non-sugarcoating type of approach. And it seemed aggressive at times, and it seemed like I was being attacked. But I understood it the whole time. I tried to replicate that, and maybe I didn't come off so clearly, but that's okay. That's how we grow, and that's how we learn. But when I see some of these other channels going to all these great lengths to cut other people down and to smut people up, manufacture bogus paperwork that wasn't real. I mean, it's totally obvious that it's fake. Create fake channels and make some outlandish accusations about people, go all over the place and stir up all this attention and drama for themselves. I got to feel somewhat responsible because I came out with that raw and uncut approach and talking shit and not giving a fuck what anybody thinks type of an attitude. And I apologize for my part in all that. I am turning the page in what I am doing. I'm not going to change my approach. I'm not going to change being, raw and uncut. But I am not going to engage in any of this drama that's going on around me. I'm not going to respond to any of this bullshit that comes my way. I said it before in my live. If you don't got no documentation coming straight from a court website, or you don't got no documentation that's out there, you don't have some solid evidence to anything like that, I will not entertain any of that shit. You have to have facts if you're going to come at me with anything. And I'm going to confirm it. I'm going to straight up confirm it. I am turning the page in what I'm doing and moving forward. My last video, when I had basically admitted to you everything that happened to me, you got to understand that when I got off and I pushed stop on that video, my heart was beating like this. I was almost sweating, almost crying. It was hard because I knew that there was going to be a lot of different kinds of comments coming at me. I knew that I was going to be exposing myself to trolls and doubters, disbelievers, believers, and supporters alike. But that was my way of opening up to all of you and saying that I am turning the page and going a different direction. I'm going to continue to listen to the feedback from all of you, and I'm going to continue to push forward in a positive way. But we are going to also continue to look at all of the things in life that most people just don't want to see. Why? Because we need to address all of this bullshit. We need to address a lot of these things that go on. We will continue to talk about those. We will continue to call people out when they're full of shit and when they mislead people, when they break somebody's heart with something that had caused them to invest a lot of time, money, and energy in these people and these things. We will talk about all that. We'll talk about prison war stories alike. We'll talk about anything and everything, whatever you want to hear about. This is your show. You go ahead and bring it to me, and I'll bring it back to you. But we going on a different direction here. I won't be entertaining any of this tomfoolery, any of this ass clownery that goes on of late, this weirdo shit. People, what they doing, their accusations against people and whatnot. People calling people derogatory names and all that because they don't understand one's culture over the next. Racism, tribalism, and all the rest of the shit that comes at me. we are turning the page in a brighter, different direction, but we're going to continue to be raw and uncut. But we're just going to know who we're dealing with when we're doing it. And we're going to know how to approach every situation more effectively without coming off as if we're investing too much feeling and emotion in it. Because that's the last thing I want you to believe, that I lose a moment's sleep over any of this shit, and that I really do care one way or the other about anybody and what they're doing, because I really don't. I am much too busy in my life to be worrying about the next man, but I do enjoy talking about the topics that you think about, the stuff that you see on YouTube, the people that you choose to watch. It's news, man. This is media. That's why they call it social media. So let's keep the focus on that, and let's keep it as objective as possible. And let's always remember the golden rule. If it don't apply, just let it fly. And if you don't like what somebody has to say, simply move on. Don't invest your emotions in it. Just move on. That's the best advice that I can give to any of you. You heard it right here. Prison Break Raw, uncut, uncensored, no holds barred, not sugarcoat, not politically correct, all up in your face, slapping you with that dick of reality, and I'm out.